Tom lived in a small old house. One day, while cleaning the basement, he saw something strange. A door. It was old and covered in dust. Tom had never seen it before. Where does this door go? He thought. He tried to open it, but it was locked. There was no keyhole, no handle, nothing. Tom felt a cold wind from under the door. Then he heard something. A whisper. It was soft, almost like the wind. "Help me!" Tom's heart raced. Who was behind the door? Tom stepped back from the door, his heart racing. Had he imagined the voice? He held his breath and listened. Silence. Maybe it was just the wind? But as he turned to leave, he heard it again. "Help me." Tom's hands trembled. He touched the door. It was cold, too cold. He knocked softly. "Hello? Who's there?" No answer. Bang! The door shook, as if something was trying to get out. Tom stumbled back. "This isn't real," he whispered, but deep inside, he knew. Something was behind that door. The key. Tom couldn't stop thinking about the door. The next day, he went back to the basement. The door was still there, still locked. How can I open it? He wondered. He searched the basement, old boxes, broken furniture, dusty books. Then he found something, a small, rusty key. It looked ancient, covered in dirt. Tom held it up, his hands shaking. Could this be the key to the door? There was only one way to find out. The door opens. Tom slowly pushed the key into the lock. Click. The door unlocked. He hesitated. Should I open it? Then the whisper returned. "Please, open the door." Tom took a deep breath and turned the handle. The door creaked open. Behind it was darkness. A deep, empty hallway stretched beyond the door. Cold air rushed out, making Tom shiver. Suddenly, footsteps. Something was coming. Tom wanted to run, but it was too late. A hand reached out from the darkness. Tom froze as the hand reached out from the darkness. It was thin and pale, with long fingers and sharp nails. It moved slowly, as if searching for something. Tom wanted to run, but his legs wouldn't move. Then a voice came from the darkness. "Help me!" It was the same whisper he had heard before. Tom took a deep breath. "Who are you?" he asked. The hand stopped. Then slowly a figure stepped out from the shadows. The girl in the dark. It was a girl. She had long, tangled hair and wore a torn dress covered in dust. Her skin was pale, as if she hadn't seen sunlight in years. Her eyes were wide and scared. "Please, don't close the door," she begged. Tom swallowed hard. "Who are you? Why are you in there?" The girl looked behind her, into the dark hallway. "I was trapped," she whispered, "for a long time. Please, help me get out." Tom hesitated. Something felt wrong. "Who trapped you?" he asked. The girl opened her mouth, but before she could answer, a deep growl echoed from the darkness. Her eyes filled with terror. "It's coming," she whispered. Suddenly, something huge moved in the darkness. The ground shook. A shadowy figure appeared behind the girl. Red eyes glowed in the darkness. Tom's heart pounded. Something else was in there with her. Tom's breath caught in his throat. The red eyes in the darkness stared straight at him. The girl trembled. "Close the door," she whispered. "It's coming." Tom froze. Should he listen to her? The creature in the darkness growled, a deep, horrible sound that made Tom's skin crawl. Then it moved. A giant claw reached out from the shadows, heading straight for the girl. She screamed, "Help me!" Tom acted without thinking. He grabbed her arm and pulled her through the door. She fell into his arms, gasping. The creature roared. The basement shook. Tom grabbed the door and slammed it shut. Bang! Bang! Something pounded on the other side. The door shook violently, but it didn't open. Then, silence. The girl was breathing hard, her hands gripping Tom's shirt. She looked up at him, her eyes filled with tears. "You saved me," she whispered. Tom nodded, still shaking. "What was that thing?" She hesitated. Then, in a soft voice, she said, "That was my keeper. It never wanted me to leave." Tom's stomach twisted. "How long were you trapped in there?" She looked down. "I don't know. A long time. Too long." Tom felt a chill. Who was she? And why had she been locked behind that door? Tom stared at the girl. She was free, but something felt wrong. She shivered, wrapping her arms around herself. "It's so cold," she whispered. Tom grabbed an old blanket from a nearby chair and handed it to her. "Here." She took it, her fingers trembling. "Thank you." Tom sat down, his mind racing. "What's your name?" She hesitated. Then softly, she said, "Lena." Tom nodded. "Lena, who locked you behind that door?" Lena looked at the closed door, her expression dark. "The keeper." Tom swallowed. "That thing?" She nodded. "It kept me there for a long time. I don't know why. I just woke up one day, and I was trapped." Tom frowned. "Woke up?" Lena looked at him, confused. "Yes. I don't remember much before that. Just darkness." A chill ran down Tom's spine. Something was wrong. The house changes. Tom glanced around the basement. Everything looked the same. But something felt different. The air was colder. The shadows seemed darker. Lena stood up and hugged herself. "I don't feel right." Tom helped her upstairs. The moment they stepped into the hallway, the lights flickered. A whisper floated through the air. "You should not have opened the door." Tom's heart stopped. He turned slowly. The basement door was open again, even though he had locked it. A deep, distant growl came from the darkness below. Lena gasped. "It's still here." Tom grabbed her wrist. "Run!" The chase. They sprinted through the house. The walls seemed to stretch. The doors looked farther away. Behind them, thump, thump. Something was coming up the basement stairs. Lena's breath hitched. "It doesn't want me to leave." Tom pulled her toward the front door. "We have to get out." They reached the door. Tom grabbed the handle, but it wouldn't move. Locked. Bang! Bang! The floor shook. A shadow crept across the walls. A voice whispered, deep and hollow, "She belongs to me." Lena screamed. Tom turned, and the shadow lunged at them. Tom barely had time to react. The shadow lunged forward, its dark shape twisting like smoke. Lena screamed, gripping Tom's arm. "It's coming!" Tom yanked on the front door, but it wouldn't budge. Bang! The house shook, the walls groaning as if they were alive. The shadow stretched across the ceiling, moving toward Lena. A deep voice whispered, "She is mine!" Lena's eyes widened in terror. "No!" she cried. Tom grabbed the nearest object, a heavy wooden chair, and threw it at the shadow. The chair passed right through it and crashed against the wall. The shadow didn't stop. It wrapped around Lena's legs. She gasped as dark tendrils pulled her back toward the basement. "Tom, help me!" she cried, struggling. Tom didn't think. He lunged forward, grabbing her hand. He pulled with all his strength. The shadow hissed angrily, tightening its grip. For a moment, it felt like Lena was being dragged into another world. But then, something happened. Lena's eyes turned white. A strange energy rushed through her. The shadow screamed and released her. She collapsed into Tom's arms, shaking. The shadow vanished. The house went silent. Tom stared at her. What was that? Lena clutched her chest, her breathing ragged. "I don't know, but I think I've been here before." Tom's stomach twisted. "What do you mean?" She looked at him, eyes wide with fear. "I think I died here." Tom stared at Lena, his heart pounding. "What do you mean? You died here?" Lena shivered. "I don't remember everything, but I think I was trapped in this house a long time ago." Tom looked around. The house felt different now, quieter, emptier. The shadow was gone. But for how long? Lena took a deep breath. "I need to remember. Maybe then I can leave for good." The truth. Tom led her to the living room. "Sit down. Try to think. Who locked you behind that door?" Lena closed her eyes. "I see a man. He lived here. He was—" She gasped. "He was my father." Tom froze. "What?" Lena's hands trembled. "He was afraid of me. I had powers. I don't know why, but he thought I was dangerous." A tear slipped down her cheek. "So he locked me behind the door, and he never let me out." Tom's stomach twisted. "Then you died in there?" She nodded. "I must have. And the shadow, it was keeping me here." Tom swallowed hard. "Then we have to finish this. You deserve to be free." Letting go. Lena stood up. "I think I know what to do." She walked to the basement door. It was open again. A deep whisper filled the air. "You cannot leave." The shadow returned, swirling in the doorway. Lena took a deep breath. "No, you don't control me anymore." Her body glowed with a soft light. The shadow hissed, shrinking back. Lena raised her hands. "I forgive my father, and I let go of this place." The air grew warm. The house stopped shaking. The shadow let out a final, painful scream. Then it vanished. The door slammed shut, and then everything was still. "Goodbye." Lena turned to Tom. "It's over." She smiled softly, but her body was fading. Tom's chest tightened. "Wait, where are you going?" Lena touched his hand. "I was never supposed to stay. You helped me remember. Now, I can move on." Tom felt a lump in his throat. "Will I see you again?" Lena smiled. "Maybe, but if you ever hear a whisper in the wind, that will be me, saying thank you." Her body faded into light. Tom watched as she disappeared, free at last. The house felt warm again. The shadows were gone. Tom took a deep breath and walked outside. For the first time, the house no longer felt haunted. Lena was finally at peace, and so was he.